This is the Podcast of Champions special edition, and I am your host, Grandmaster. With me is a powerful panel made up of the finest champions Sakar has to offer. Let me introduce them to you, starting with Mr. Taylor first. How are you?
I'm great.
We have Merv here. How are you?
Fantastic.
Oh, that's good to hear. And voice only, we have Lokismom. How are you?
Okie doke.
That's good to hear. Well, today we have two topics. First, we're going to discuss the trailer that Marvel dropped for Echo earlier this week. And after that, we're going to do a little discussion, and I mean little, about an article Variety dropped earlier this week. Well, the trailer for Echo, we do that first.
Maya. I see everything that you are. I always have. Don't be afraid. You have so much pain in you. You. So much rage. That you can't contain it. You and I are the same. So, who's the monster?
Let's start with you, Taylor. What did you think of the trailer for Echo? We got.
I thought it was amazing. It looks fantastic. I was not a person who hated the idea of an Echo show. I know some people completely poo-pooed it, but I was not overly excited about it either. I was pretty much ambivalent whether they did the show or not. But this trailer's got me excited. It had the Netflix show feel to it, that grittiness, the violence, which, the MCU doesn't have to be graphically violent all the time, but it doesn't hurt to have it in the right situations, in the right stories, to bring that in. And everything else, we'll get into details, but everything in it looked beautiful. The acting looks great. The use of the music and the sound in the trailer, where it was almost like, because she, of course, can't hear, there was very little sound in the trailer. The music was just a little bit here and there, and it was only when there was like some big explosion or some blow being struck that it rose up, like you were feeling the vibrations as she would. All very, very well done. Whoever cut the trailer did a great job.
Loki's mom. Taylor mentioned it, the Netflix vibes. They made a heavy use of Vincent D'Onofrio's Wilson Fisk. They do that on purpose, don't they?
Yeah, he's so juicy. He fires on all cylinders when it comes to a villain. He works. No, he could work in just a regular crime movie. He doesn't have to have any the magical stuff or mystical stuff going on. But yeah, there's the and I mentioned it when we did another show we were doing the Netflix for Daredevil, and how much Vincent has taken the character of Charles Foster Kane, how he the man of that power and that ego and that obtuseness or whatever, and then yet pairs it with this Noah Cross character from a Chinatown, the wonderful crime movie, noir crime movie, with John Huston's marvelous deep voice, and so you hear that. So I'm really very rich. I mean, this is probably one of the most three-dimensional villains they've really brought. I mean, and that includes Loki that they've brought to the MCU. So yeah, very excited about it. And you know, I'm into that kind of stuff anyway. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Merv, did you enjoy the trailer for Echo?
I did quite a bit, and I was definitely one of the people who didn't need an Echo TV series. Didn't really care. You know, I thought she was a fine side character in the Hawkeye series, but there wasn't enough there for me to get interested about. I do think it helps a lot that Vincent D'Onofrio's Kingpin feels heavily featured in this trailer, so I feel like he's going to be a main presence throughout this series. And in that trailer, like Taylor said, like just the sound of it, you know, with every punch that Wilson Fisk landed, you know, you just get a little more excited. Whenever a few of the bullets get shot, you get a little more excited, and it had this building anticipation and tension to it that really won me over. I'll be honest, I'm definitely looking forward to checking it out. It feels cut exactly from the same cloth as like the Daredevil Netflix series, and it is definitely feels like the right product to have a more mature, a little bit more violent vibe to it, as opposed to some of the other, you know, and the Marvel doesn't need to be adult, so to speak, in a lot of products, but this one feels like the right fit for it to be a more mature adult experience, as opposed to, you know, kind of letting it be a 4-quadrant, like kids friendly vibe. Like this definitely feels like an okay spot to gear towards adults a little bit. So yeah, it looks really fun, and I'm really excited. I think January 10th it said comes out, so I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, and they're gonna do something new, and I'm gonna move back to you, my Loki's mom, because you had a follow-up. But they're gonna drop all 5 episodes only, on the same day, instead of a staggered release. What do you think about that? And of course, you can drop your follow-up as well.
Yeah, I think also I hope what they're doing is maybe not making everything dependent on the main saga. You know, whatever's going to come down the pike with the Avengers later on. It doesn't have to be dependent on it. It can be a story separate from that. You know, we're not worried about the world ending from aliens invading and stuff like that. We're worried more about what's happening here and with crime, and what's happening with people on the street and how they're dealing with everything, and what's motivating them to turn to crime or turn to Kingpin and guys like him for help. So yeah, I really think that's going to bring a much, if they do that, which I think they are. I think that's going to bring a better dimension and a more diverse, if I dare use that word, viewing experience for all Marvel fans.
Yeah, absolutely. Taylor, we are not anticipating a Quark presence or cameo or glorified guest star role in this show, right? It's going to be dark, it's going to be gritty, it's going to be Netflix. There are not the cracking of jokes is not there, only the cracking of bones.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it's going to lean too heavily into the humor. I mean, I'm sure there'll be some moments of comedy. Maybe comedy violence. As far as the other characters, who knows? You know, the MCU is wide open. You never know who's going to show up. There are quite a few characters out there who might actually fit in this situation. But the trailer looks amazing. The action scenes look amazing. It looks like John Wick in some parts. There's one shot of someone like jumping off a truck onto a car beneath them, and it's just gorgeous. Not just the fact that the guy's jumping off a truck, but the lighting and the slow-mo, and just spectacular. And the other part, of course, is this is probably going to very much be a character study of this person, Echo herself, which is going to be very interesting. We got a little bit of it in Hawkeye, and I really liked that part of Hawkeye. I liked Hawkeye in general. I know some people didn't, but I really liked that show. And I thought the Echo part was very interesting, and her relationship with Fisk, of course, is going to be front and center. We know that she tried to kill him, at least at the end of Hawkeye. But he is, he just never gives up, that guy. He always comes back and he finds a way to get back on top, even if it's with. I looked apparently from the trailer, he's looking to get this girl back into his good graces or get back into her good graces, I should say, because apparently he sees a lot in her. And I think the whole exploration of her character, her life, her growing up, or of course the disabilities she's had to deal with, plus of course her background as Native American, and all the other parts that make up this person. And I hope 5 episodes is enough. I was really worried when I first heard that they were going to drop all 5 episodes at once. I thought, oh, this thing must really stink. They don't have any faith in it at all. But after seeing that trailer, I don't see how they can't have faith in it. So maybe they're just trying to try something different and seeing how it works to just drop all 5. Maybe they figure since it's only 5 episodes, it wasn't worth trying to stretch it out. Plus they have other projects that they might run into. So I don't know what the decision making was, but the trailer took away my doubts that I had when I heard they were dropping all 5 episodes.
Yeah, but I've been hyped for trailers before. Secret Invasion.
Oh, yeah.
Merv, you had a follow-up, but trailers don't tell the whole story.
That's exactly what my follow-up was going to be. I just wanted to temper expectations a little bit, since we were all really enjoying it, that we all really enjoyed the Secret Invasion trailer too, and we all know how that kind of petered out a little bit. So just just because they can make a great trailer doesn't necessarily mean they can make a great show, but I do like that the trailer got me excited for it. It's better that way than the other way, where I'm like, oh, there's a dead duck on arrival. So
the Secret Invasion trailer left out some key information.
But that's the job of trailers. Get you excited and leave information out of it. But anyway. I can conclude that we're all cautiously optimistic about the Echo show, which we actually weren't beforehand. So that's good. Right? That's good.
yes.
So that's a second win for Marvel this week. I mean, we got Loki episode 5, which was, like we discussed in our review for the episode Peak MCU. At least to some people. And of course, we get a good trailer for Echo, a show we did not have much hope for, but now we do. So, yeah, that's 2 wins in a row. But there was Variety as well. And Variety dropped an article earlier this week discussing the MCU and how it is in shambles. Well, apparently Mahershala Ali wanted to walk from the Blade project due to script issues. Marvel Studios considering to recast the role of Kang due to Jonathan Majors' legal issues. But they're also considering shifting focus to Doctor Doom and dropping the Kang storyline altogether. And of course, the movies are doing badly, so they want to bring back the OG Avengers, and there were reshoots for the Marvels. Oh, shock. Well, let's discuss this article and what the news is and how we feel about it. And I'm going to start with, it's too easy to start with Taylor, so I'm starting with Merv. Merv, first, I want to talk to you about this article. The writer is known for not being, how to say, the most righteous journalist. Can I say it like that? But is the MCU in shambles, and are they in trouble, or is it just like somebody said on the board, and he's present during this talk, just there was a meeting and they are making up stories.
So I'll start by saying I don't know anything about the writer or Variety in general, but there's a season of this TV show The Wire, which is one of the best shows ever, that deals with journalism, and there's a journalist in that show that just makes stuff up to get good stories out, and that's not where I'm going with this. But every other paragraph I saw, oh, and a source said, and another person said, and so heard from Jimmy down the street, and it was just like, so who are you listening? Who are you actually talking to that is saying all this stuff, behind the scenes and all this? Like you got to give some credibility to it. But there was none. It was just like a source over here, and a person who's a top deal maker behind the scenes at Marvel. And it just felt so like, okay, yeah, sure, just hokey kind of journalism, and lacked integrity right out of the gate, because you're not citing any sources. You're telling me, what other people have said. That doesn't mean that there aren't issues to correct with Marvel, though. There definitely is a bit of a rocky stretch, especially in the past couple years, and probably within the next couple months. And it's just kind of a thing. I would feel worse about it, I think, if we didn't see at least some semblance of them acknowledging that and attempting to at least change it. Like, the article brings up a lot of stuff about condensed timelines and things like that. Well, every product that's up and coming got pushed back anywhere from 2 months to a full year. So they've already kind of acknowledged that, and given the future projects, at least for the next couple of years, a little more breathing room, and slowed down the production machine that was Phase 4 of the MCU. So it already seems like they're acknowledging that they were trying to do things too much and too fast, and they're slowing it down a bit and giving it more time. Now, whether or not we actually see an improvement because of that is yet to be known. But because these things come through the pipeline so early, like the changes that they're making now, we won't really see until like early next year, or 2 years from now. We won't be able to see if that actually works. So it's easy to say doom and gloom now, but I do think they're making decisions behind the scenes that are already acknowledging a lot of the faults that this article points out, at least on paper. I'm not in the board meetings. I don't talk to Kevin Feige on a regular basis, so I don't know exactly what's going on. But the fact that they're acknowledging it and trying to adjust accordingly says that they are aware of the problems that they've been pointed out for Phase 4 and the few movies. And I'll also say, like, it's been a rocky Phase 4 and 5 so far, but it hasn't been all awful. There's a lot of very well received movies in there, especially. I think the bigger thing is that there's a lot of stuff. In enough of the shows have just been mediocre that it kind of waters down the overall kind of MCU vibe. But like, Guardians 3 was very well received. No Way Home was very well received. Like, a lot of these movies are very well received. And then you've got other stuff like Thor Love and Thunder and, Eternals, unfortunately, which wasn't as well received. But you go back to Phase 1 and 2, you had the same situation with Thor to the Dark World and Iron Man 2 and Iron Man 3. And there's a lot of rocky roads there too. The upside to that was that you were working up to something, and now it feels like we're on the downslope after the peak. So I think that's just where the taste falls to the side. But outside of the Jonathan Majors situation, which is one that they might have to deal with, but it's not like the be all end all of this entire franchise. They could just recast. It's that simple. They've done it before. They can do it again. It wouldn't be that big of a deal. If they want to still use that character, just recast if you're not sure if Jonathan Majors is the guy. I've loved Jonathan Majors in the Loki series especially, but also in the Ant-Man movie. I thought he was a highlight of that. So it'd be unfortunate to lose a talent, but like, if you're uncertain on whether or not his legal problem is going to bleed over into a financial problem for Marvel, then just cut ties, and move on. It's honestly that simple of a decision on their part, I think. So that's really the only outlier that I can see. Like, everything else is just kind of a wait and see. I think they've already course corrected, at least on paper.
Mm. Yeah, you're right. We're not talking to Kevin Feige on a regular basis, so we don't know. But we can talk to the next best thing, and that's Taylor. Um, Taylor, I want to hear your thoughts on this.
Yeah, I agree with Merv completely on everything he said. Variety never should have published this article. It's extremely poorly sourced. It it's all conjecture. It's hearsay, and the few pieces of truth, provable truth that's in there, we already knew. We already knew they were rewriting the script for Blade because they announced with great fanfare that they had hired new writers right before the writer's strike started. So we already knew they were rewriting the script for Blade. So that was nothing new. We also know that they're already addressing these issues, like Merv said. Part of the problem, some of the issues, are not Marvel's fault. Some of them are the changes in leadership at Disney. Chapek wanted wall-to-wall product, right? He's gone. Iger came back in, and Iger said publicly, "There's too much product," and he was probably right because Marvel is only as good as what Kevin Feige can control. And I'm sorry, that's the way it is right now. He is the end all be all. He is the quality control of the entire studio. And if it's too much for him to do, then the quality is going to suffer. Now maybe he could find himself a right-hand man who's capable and willing. That's a tall order. Maybe Jon Favreau is capable, but is he willing to take on that role?
Mhm.
Probably not, because he's doing Star Wars stuff.
In fact, they lost Victoria Alonso about a year ago, and that only made his job harder, I guess.
Yes. Right, and
So
that's another factor, and there's other factors, including the COVID protocols, which caused huge delays and schedule changes and budget increases beyond all comprehension. And now there's the strikes, of course, causing more delays. But if they can get it down to a manageable number of things, and I believe we're seeing signs that they are doing that. We've already seen articles. I believe Wonder Man has been completely nixed, and has probably other projects. They're going to have to focus on what do we want to do, not what do we want to do, but what do we need to do? Which projects do we need for the big overall Marvel Cinematic Universe? And that's hard, especially when you've got the money to spend and there's all this great stuff and all these great characters and all these great stories you want to tell. But you can't do them all because, like I said, right now, you can only do as much as Kevin Feige can oversee at this point. And I think they've realized that. So they're going to reduce the number of movies and shows per year and stretch them out.
they already did. I mean,
Focus.
2023, we had 3 movies. Well, we had 2. Next week is the third movie, and we had 2 shows. And I'm not counting the I Am Groot show or Werewolf by Night in Color or whatever that I'm gonna ignore. 2 shows and 3 movies. I mean, that's 1 project more than what they did. At a certain moment, they did 4 movies a year. I think in 2017 they did even 5, but or at least from May to May counted 5 movies. That's basically the max, right?
Yes, absolutely, and I think that's what they're going to do go forward. They're going to focus more on quality over quantity. Work on building a cohesive, universal story, and maybe some side stories, a TV show that doesn't relate much to the rest of the universe. That's fine as long as there's not so many of them that they can't that the span of control is exceeded, the capacity gets exceeded. So right now, I think they're doing fine. They have to focus on things like great directors and great writers. I'm sorry, but a guy has to have more on his resume than he wrote an episode of Rick and Morty 3 years ago or something to write a freaking blockbuster MCU movie. All right, so hopefully they've learned that lesson, and moving forward. The article itself, like I said, it was nonsense. The only bit of news was they had a meeting. Wow, I'm sure they've never had a meeting before. But yeah, Marvel had a meeting to talk about the future. Never, which of course, the actors' strike is expected to wrap up here at some point in the near future. At least that's what everyone's saying. So they probably had a meeting to say, okay, what's our next step once the actors' strike is over? Because it's going to be a free-for-all all over Hollywood at that point, because projects are backed up and stacked up for the past year, and everyone's going to be fighting for writers and VFX artists and studios and sound stages and all that. So again, probably a good idea that they had a meeting. Yeah, the article was nonsense. There's been some stumbles for a lot of reasons, some internal, some external. There's a lot of indications now that they're working to right the ship and getting us back in a good direction.
Yeah, and I think when you basically look at what they're doing with Loki, they are actually giving us what we need, like a sense of direction, a glorious purpose, if you will. And having said that, I'm going to Loki's mom. Makes sense. I want to hear your thoughts on this.
Yeah. Well, two words, Disney and Variety. And I'll start with Variety. Variety is an old trade newspaper that goes way on back. So far back that when the stock market crashed in 1929, they had a headline that says, Wall Street lays an egg. Well, I think Variety laid an egg here because all they did was just rehash a bunch of stuff that's out on the internet that anybody can find. And we all know these websites that they make some story that we've read a dozen times over again, and so they can pack a lot of ads around it and advertisements. And but when Variety speaks, it's almost like the New York Times saying it as far as show business goes. And so if you go back to Disney now, I think a lot of their problems did start with Disney because Disney's this big, much bigger than Marvel, much if I dare say the word, greedier. And they saw a big, with the success of the Avenger movies, they saw dollar signs and all this product. And guess what? They did the same thing with Star Wars. And they had all these projects that they were going to, and so a lot of them sounded great. And then as the products, as we saw, the TV show started going down in quality, then they started pulling these projects and whatnot. So I think you're sort of seeing that same dynamic happening here with Marvel. And I think Kevin Feige understands that. I think the whole thing with the switch over with the CEO, the corporate heads at Disney is going to make a big difference. Hopefully they're giving more control back to Kevin so that he can call the shots and his team can call the shots. I think Taylor's just spot on about how everything's going to go. I mean, hopefully they're sitting in their writers' room with their little board with their little sticky notes, and they're planning all this stuff out so they can hit the ground running just like Loki did in the first episode of season 2. Yeah. So right now things are looking up. I'm not the pessimist about it. I mean, I think we all had a little heartbreak over Secret Invasion, but let's get past that and just let it keep going. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to what's coming, and I think we're all going to be more pleased going forward.
Yeah, and if you think about it, Phase 4 had more wins than losses. I mean, and if you look at Phase 5, I still count Quantumania as a win. I mean, I like the movie a lot. I don't know what everybody's talking about. I like Guardians of the Galaxy a lot. The only thing that I didn't like about Phase 5 so far was Secret Invasion. Yeah, that happens. I mean, it's not that bad as everybody keeps saying, but it almost sounds like if it's not the best ever, it's already automatically not good, and that's I don't agree with that. And this article of Variety, well, the papers are there's paper in my bathroom that makes more sense than Variety. But anyway, Loki's mom, you had a follow up.
Yeah, going back to this whole confusion and chaos and timelines and storylines that are flying all over the place and turning into spaghetti, and we had to bring somebody back to the center to be the anchor, as what they've done with Loki in his series. I think we see the same. Oddly enough, we see the same thing going on with Marvel itself in real life. That they're trying to control the chaos and trying to rewrite things. You know, I just wish Loki could go back and rewrite Secret Invasion, but that's not going to happen.
No.
But yeah, I think that the analogy here between real life and what's going on in our fantasy, our beloved fantasy world, are kind of striking.
Yeah. And I want to point out Loki is, and Lokismom is going to love me for saying this, is the most important character in that whole MCU. Without Loki, none of it would have happened.
Yep, absolutely. He is the one who brought the Avengers together. He is the catalyst for that. He is the point in the between the chaos and the order.
Absolutely. Well, I think we have made enough minced meat of variety. So this will conclude our very short podcast of Champions Special Edition. We hope you did enjoy our discussion today. If you did, you can help us out. Like and share this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And if you really want more of us, you can join our ranks at sakar.freeforms.net. We would love it if you do that. And for now, I want to thank you all, also on behalf of the champions present. And I wish you to be safe and be well. Bye.